Hello there, this is Dimitris Christou and I'm back with another Blender video tutorial. Well, with another Blender video. Now this time around I'll keep talking about the dailies and I really hope you enjoy those videos. So we're going to move on with the files and we're going to see them inside Blender. Next one, the previous one was the Sneaky Hate one. Now next one is the Architecture Dream. And I'll move over to Blender to see the file, and this is the file. Now this was also put together in Inkscape, and this is an SVG file. You can see it right here. I got lots and lots of lines, and that took some time on this object, and then created lots of cubes, and I've used them separately in Blender. This is one object and the cubes is another one. The curves were actually grouped together that way, and this is pretty much what makes the file. These cubes use a glass, nice glass material here, okay, and this is actually what it is. And this one took a lot of time in Inkscape, and then I had to bring everything together in Blender and set up the file. So that's the one. Let's move over to the next one. The next one is the Peaceful Passage. Now this, if I'm not mistaken, and let's find the file. This started out as a particle system actually. And oh, wait a minute, this is slightly crazy. Now, this one started out as putting together simple objects and putting them on a plane as a particle system, and then I found out that the result wasn't all that good. And then what I did is scale the particle system. I've actually converted the particle system, the entire particle system, into a single mesh object and then scale it a lot on the z-axis. And the particle system used simple objects, simple cube deformed objects, and then scaled on the z-axis. And what I then did is put the camera, found a nice place for the camera to be in, and then rendered the image. That was pretty easy to put together, but I was pretty frustrated with it because I couldn't find it. I couldn't get it to a stage where I could easily work with it and get the result needed. Now let's move over to the next one. The next one is the over 9000 file, and let's find it. Okay, this is it. Alright. Now this is simple modeling. As you can see, I've used the honeycomb object in the extras. And I've also used a file I've put together and inserted over at Blend Swap. I'll include a link in the video description, and then putting together those shapes, and these are, if I'm not mistaken, simple polygonal shapes that use the that use a simple deform to create this little shape right here, and then I have these hexagons. And again, this is modeling, okay, just putting everything together and finding a nice little corner, nice little angle for the camera to be put on. And there is this nice little counter here, and you can see that the mirror goes over 9000, hence the name of the file. Now over to the next one. The next one is the Cage D. and this is one of my favorites actually. Let's find the file. Pretty crisp, pretty nice file, and let's locate it. Where is it? And I can see it. Well, actually I can't find the file, so we're going to move in describing the file. Let's find the image. Let's find it. Okay. And this is a particle system. You can see the particle system right here have the objects, and then they're cloned, they're created copies, and the copies use a wireframe modifier. And this is pretty interesting on the material side. This uses a gradient material that creates some nice variation in both the inside objects, and the inside objects use slight displacement to create this variation in shape and all. And it also uses this nice little particle system right about here. And let's click this one to see the actual image size. And you can see how this one looks. And again, glass on the inside object and simple diffuse material for the wireframe. Okay, let's move over to the next one. Alright, the next one is the Mecca doodle, and again this is pretty simple, just modeling work. Let's find the file, and the file is over here. Alright, again this is just modeling, and I'm using the little trick I've showed on a video tutorial before, and this video tutorial was about grouping objects, and we're having this is the first group. You can see it right here. Alright, and then this is used in a second group. Alright, with extra objects and cloned, and this group is then again put together into this object. Okay, and then we're having two objects, two of these put together, and then I'm hitting 0 for the camera perspective view, and you can see the final result. And this is how the scene looks. Alright, let's move over to the next one. This is the one, the dive in. Okay, let's find the file so we can see it. And that's the one. Okay. Now this uses some interesting material work and some interesting modifiers on the object. So we're having this object and obviously a particle system around it. And this starts out, if I'm not mistaken, by a single cube. Okay. What happens here is that I'm using a subsurf modifier, and the subsurf modifier adds more geometry for me to work with. And then the displace modifier is used, and the displace modifier changes the shape of the object, and it looks a bit like that. And then I'm having another subsurf modifier because I want some extra geometry, and obviously I also want to smooth the object after the first displace modifier. and the extra geometry from the second subdivision surface modifier is then used by a displace modifier, and the displace modifier creates another sort of layer of displace on the object. It makes it look like that. And then again a final subsurf modifier. Not a final, actually, there is more to it. And don't forget that they might seem a lot, but since we're starting from a simple cube, we have the luxury of adding subsurf modifier and then layers of displace modifier to change the shape and the appearance of the geometry, and then again adding more subsurf modifiers to smoothen the object and add more detail and more geometry to work with the following modifiers. Now this one also uses an interesting material, and you can see it right here. I'm using Voronoi texture for the displacement, and it clearly shows in the render, and a wave texture that is a factor of the diffuse and the glass shaders, and that creates an interesting shift in the object surface. Let's find the file to take a look. Okay, let's locate it, and I'm having the same trouble again. Alright, so this is how the image looks, and we're having a nice shift. You can see right here that we're having the glass material over here, and then it shifts to the diffuse material. This is how it looks. Pretty interesting, and here you can see it full size with the particles and all. Alright. Now moving over to the next one, and let's see which one is the next one. And it's the snake file, another one of my favorites. Alright. Let's find the file to open it. Okay. Here is the snake file. Okay, let's open it in Blender. And this is an interesting scene. This one uses a metable object, and I wanted to create a metable object, so I've stacked some metable spheres. You can see them all right here. Let's see the metable settings. Okay. I'm keeping the view resolution to pretty low, and again for the metable, the higher is the resolution, the less detail is on the metable object, and the renderer is set down. And I've created this nice little shape by copying and moving the metable objects around. What also happens here is that I'm having this plane, and this is displaced. Okay, and then a particle system is added to it, and the particle system uses some pebbles I've also put together. You can see them all right here. Okay, to create nice ground thing for the scene. And I'm also having those, and those are in an array to be cloned on the y-axis. And they also use a wireframe modifier with lots of offset. So you can see the wireframe is pretty much away from the main object, and they're pretty thick. Now the next one is the glass distortion, and for this file, for actually the left part of this file, I've put a video tutorial. And you can see it on blendbend.blogspot.com, on my Blender video tutorial blog, and you can also see it on my YouTube channel. This actually uses the glass with some simple objects to create an interesting result using the contrast of black and white. Pretty clean, pretty crisp, pretty interesting file as well. So let's move over to the next one, and we have the summer mix number 384. Let's find this one as well. Now, okay. That's the file, let's bring it in. And this obviously uses some fluid simulation, and I'm waiting for it to open. Okay. This one uses some fluid simulation. I'm having the text right here. If I'm not mistaken, I've changed the text to be geometry so that it would collide with the fluid and create this nice little splash effect you can see right here. I'm having the text. You can see that I'm using. It's hard to select one because the scene is pretty heavy right here. Okay, trying to select the text. Alright. Okay, and this uses some collision for the fluid to work with. Okay. This is said to be a fluid obstacle, and this is what creates the splash right here. And again, finding a nice little view for the camera and all. And about the fluid simulations, I've only used the fluid simulation, although it creates some pretty interesting results. I've only used it a couple of times, simple because I need to create a high resolution fluid simulation, and then usually, although it is pretty high, it creates some odd shapes all around. Although at times, you can see it right here, so I'm using subsurf and a smooth modifier to try to smoothen it up. It always looks kind of odd when trying to render a high resolution image. So that's the file, pretty interesting as well. Let's move over to the next one. And the next one is the Adam stage 1. Okay, moving over to Blender and let's find the file. Alright. Okay, waiting for it to open, and for the Adam file I've used a mesh I found on Blend Swap, and it was just an ordinary man mesh. I've cut the piece and kept the piece I wanted to use, the torso actually, the bust you can call it. And then on that I'm having a particle system. Well, actually, let's see it right here. I don't have a single particle system, but I'm having 3 particle systems. Now, one of them is for the one particle system is for the ecospheres. You can see the ecospheres on the object surface, and this is the particle system for the ecospheres. And I'm also having a particle system for the cubes, and you can see the cubes right here. If I'm not mistaken, those cubes also use some bevel, well, as it looks. And then I'm having a third particle system for the tiny black pyramids. You can see them right here. What I like about this file is how those little objects here work, and how these objects right here add some nice feel to the scene. So I've added right at the back of the head a pretty interesting file. I like the dynamic of the camera, I like the angle and the part of the person we see, and how it also kind of hides those, so this one looks pretty interesting. One of my favorite files also. Let's move over to the next one. And the next one is the cosmic dice. Okay, let's find it. And I think we're going to wrap it up with this one. Let's find the file. Okay. And again, trying to locate it. Where are you, cosmic dice? Okay, here we are. Let's bring this one in. Take a look. All right. Now this one uses objects I've also put together in Inkscape, and you can see I've created lots and lots of cubes and lines and all that. And then the SVG is brought to Blender and they're applied on a simple cube. And what I've done here is tried to add some variation to the dice, well, they're not dice, to the cube sides, trying to use a few. I believe I'm using a total of 9, if I'm not mistaken, SVG files, or 6, and trying to put them on the cube surfaces to create some interesting variation for the scene and file, and this is how it looks. Again, I'm also using this one for illuminating the scene. The background is set to black, so this is what illuminates, this is what lights the scene. And again, although there is not too much or so much variation on the cube surface, this is a file that looks pretty nice. Now, I think we're good at about here. We've reached file number 41. Hope you enjoyed this one as well. If you like it, please leave a comment below and I'll keep making those videos for you. So this is Dimitris Christou and thanks for watching.